If you're not believing for anything bigger, I'm not talking to you. If you're not believing for anything greater, this ain't for you. What's up? How you doing? Welcome back to A Moment of Clarity with yours truly, Aaron Thomason. I'm super excited that you're with me, but I got a question. Did you give this to 3 people? Did you bring somebody with you? Did you put the big fella to work? All right, so remember, here on A Moment of Clarity, we're here to help overthinkers and perfectionists take the next step in the direction of their goals with clarity and confidence, ultimately ending that cycle of self-doubt and frustration. So I want us, as we're continuing to close this year out, I want us to think about something. And I want us to be able to think about it by introducing it this way, all right? Now, all of you know, I played basketball. And one of the things that was key when I played basketball in college for us to have the winning records that we did, to go to the NCAA tournament, all that other good stuff, the one thing that was key is our preparation, all right? So in the off season was the time in which you actually worked on some of the deficiencies in your game. If you weren't strong enough, you got stronger in the weight room. If you couldn't dribble with your left hand, you worked on your left hand. If you need to work on your jump shots, you worked on that. Like, the off season was the place of preparation, because we were anticipating as individuals what we could do as a group if each one of us just got a little bit better, got a little bit better, got a little bit better, right? So again, the off season, right? That off season piece, it was the time in which you got better through intentional training. So the question I have for you, for some of you all who are super excited about what the new year or what's right in front of you has in store, is, are you prepared for what's coming? All right, I want to say that again. Are you preparing for what's coming? Because most people who aren't prepared for what's coming, they get shocked when it happens. Because see, if you have not visualized it in your mind where your thoughts deserve the attention and all of your actions are now surrounded by your belief in your why, then maybe you're going to be shocked that you actually got what you were thinking about. But see, this is no time for us to be shocked anymore. We're not going to be shocked. What we are going to do is we're going to be prepared. It's going to be our off season. And I got 3 things that I want you to be able to think through that'll help you prepare for what you believe is coming. Now, again, before I get to these 3 things, if you're not believing for anything bigger, I'm not talking to you. If you're not believing for anything greater, this ain't for you. But for those of you that are saying, hey, I need to do something different, I can't have another year, another month, another day, another week the way that it's been going, then I got 3 things to prepare for you to do to prepare. All right? Number one, you have to begin with the end in mind. Oh, yeah. Stephen Covey's habits begin with the end in mind. One of his 7 habits of highly effective people. Why is that important to begin with the end in mind? Because if you don't know where you're going, anywhere, any direction you go in makes sense. If you don't have the why consistent in your heart and your spirit, then when you wake up, your actions can just be arbitrary. We're not trying to do stuff by happenstance. We're not trying to get our goals and dreams by accident. This thing that's in our mind that we've been trying to figure out the right time to do it and how to make it happen, that we want this to be the reality in which we live in, we're not just gonna fall into it. We gotta believe that we're gonna get there and begin what? With the end in mind on this path. I want you to begin with the end in mind. What does that look like, Aaron? I'm glad you asked. That looks like you being able to have a vision in your head in details. You being able to have a vision in your head with a timeline. You've been actually, as we've talked about before, writing it down. Begin with the end in mind. Do you actually know where you're going? Do you know what it looks like, feels like, tastes like, and it's gonna be when you actually accomplish what it is that you're doing? Where it is that you're going? Begin with the end in mind. Number 2, I need you to go tell somebody. Yeah, you gotta go tell somebody. You see, again, we've talked about this before. You are willing to let yourself down, but you're not willing to let somebody else down. Say it again. You are willing to let yourself down, but you're not willing to let somebody else down. So you got to go tell somebody about what you see. Tell somebody about that goal. Tell somebody about where you're going. You got to confess it out of your mouth, because when you say it to somebody else that cares about you, loves you, and will support you through it, they won't let you let yourself down. And guess what? Because you don't really want that smoke, you're going to fool around and say, man, they're going to ask me today. Woo, every time I got to check in once a week. I got to go check in and do it. Right? You got to be accountable. So what is it going to do? It creates the positive pressure that is necessary for you to achieve what you see in your mind. The thing that you have the details in, that now that maybe it's written down someplace that you've now confessed to somebody else, you're maximizing your opportunities for it to happen. Now that you have got the end in mind, 2, you've told someone. Now the third thing you got to do is you got to take the next step. Yeah. Because see, we got to make sure that we're very clear on this. We can do all of the visualization. We can do all of the feelings and seeing and everything else. We can do all of the talking to our friends and everything else. But at some point, you got to get moving. But see, I know I'm talking to people who second guessing and trying to figure out the right time and trying to double dutch this goal and this dream into your life. I know I'm talking to you. I know you're trying to figure out what's the exact moment, the right moment, what's all the steps that I need to take. And I'm telling you, that ain't none of your business, all the steps you need to take. The only step you need to take is the next step in the direction of what you believe is going to happen. In the direction of your goal. That's all I want you to do. The next step. You see how these all build upon each other? Because see, now that you know where you're going, and now that you told somebody, now we just got to do what? Take the next step. Just steward the next step, because you can't get to the last step or accomplishing the goal if you don't take the next step and steward it. You got to steward that next step like it's the only thing that matters. And see what happens when we get to overthinking, and because we want to analyze and we want to know what's going to happen, how it's going to happen, and being able to make sure everything is just this and so, what you turn into, you not only turn into a perfectionist, you not only turn into an overthinker, you actually turn into a procrastinator. Because when you start overthinking things and you start trying to get everything perfect, you then start pushing things off. That's why you're in the midst of the cycle of self-doubt and frustration, because you keep setting deadlines that you keep pushing off. You keep saying, I want to get this done, but you keep pushing it off. And what I'm telling you right now with step number 3, if you're preparing to win, if you're preparing for the goal that's in front of you, all I want you to do is take the next step. That's it. Because see, when you take the next step, you're going to grow a little bit. When you take the next step, you're going to get a little bit more clarity. When you take the next step, you're going to get a little bit more confidence, and you're going to be more comfortable with doing what? Taking the next step. Because see, you getting ready to achieve everything that you see in your mind for it to be the reality in which you live in is all about you being clear on where you're going, being able to be excited and tell somebody what you're doing. And the last thing is to take the next step, whatever that is. Maybe your next step is actually rewatching this video and doing it and watching it again. Maybe your next step is taking a moment to actually think through it and understand your why. Maybe your next step is actually going back and doing step number 2 because you ain't told nobody what you thinking. Whatever it is, you got to be willing to take your next step, because that gets you closer. And as we inch closer, and we get closer, we build the momentum necessary for us to sustain success on the path of our goals and dreams. That the things that are in our minds can now be the reality in which we live in. So listen, I'm excited. I'm excited for you because it doesn't take a lot. It just takes you being consistent. So if we understand, again, I'm going to review them. If we understand, number 1, where we're going, that's what, begin with the end in mind. And number 2, we actually tell somebody so they can support us and hold us accountable through the journey. Then we can do number 3 and take the next step each day, each moment as we get closer to our goals. And that's how we prepare to win. That's how we prepare to be where we want to be, holding the trophy up, turning the keys into the new house, opening the business, hitting new revenue goals, getting the promotion. That's how we do that if we are very clear that we're preparing for what we see. We're preparing for what we believe. And going through those 3 steps will allow for you to be closer than you've ever been before, for you to be able to see it, taste it, and smell it in a way that you've never been able to do it before, and to be excited about the reality of that was only once in your mind, for it to be the reality of your life. I'm excited for you. And so do me a favor. You know somebody, actually 3 somebodies that actually need to be able to prepare for what they believe is coming in the new year. So I want you to give this to them. But what I want you to do for me, I want you to put in the comments and just tell me, Aaron, I took the next step. That's all I want to know. This week, I want you to put in the comments, say, Aaron, I took the next step. Or, listen, do me a favor. Click the book now button and let's have this conversation face to face. And just tell me what the next step was. I would love to hear it from you, because I'm excited for us to really understand. It said we don't have to have everything figured out, but what we have to do is just start taking next steps and moving forward. And remember this, just because you started out on this journey to get better, it doesn't mean that you weren't already good. So until next time, I'll see you then.